Hello, and welcome back to a playthrough, 160th anniversary of Chancellorsville, Battle of Chancellorsville. We're playing with the Glory 3 system across the Rappahannock, and we're up to the 1445 turn, and it just completed the 1445 turn on May 3rd. So the setup looks like this. We have Jackson's initial attack getting up just past Wilderness Church of the Dadwell's house over here, tavern. That's what I'm thinking of. And pretty much that's where it ground to overnight and stopped. Up here we've got AP Hill trying to flank, but you can see Reynolds' 1st Corps has come down to block them, as well as the 12th Corps come up to help block as well. 11th Corps is starting to rally here a little bit, and 3rd Corps is blocking to the south. So the Union has a nice blocking position on here, and that has me a little bit worried that the scenario, we have way too much information on the scenario in terms of what they can do and everything. And I'll address that here in a few minutes. Also, too, we have Anderson's troops coming up pushing against Hazel Grove and Fairview. Up here, we've also got McLaws demonstrating in front of Hancock and Geary holding the main line to the east of Chancellorsville. So that's where things stood. This is actually the end of the 4:45 a.m. turn. Now, one thing I did too, as I was just mentioning here, regarding the too much information that we have. Obviously, you can see that the 1st Corps has filled in the gap over here. We kind of, once the attack gets going, kind of know where things are going, and we're going to, stuff up over here to protect the road. Now, for Confederates to get a victory, they need to get roughly about here, up to this hex, and you can see they're streaming a lot of units in here to block them, and that was from the first couple of turns. And I think that's the main reason for that is because there's so many AMs for the Union and so many idle troops for the Union that they can easily block this off. The whole die roll rolls for the AMs really, in my opinion, didn't inhibit the Union from adjusting appropriately to Jackson's attack, which wasn't really the case historically. The 11th was pushed back. Yes, the 12th and the 3rd Corps came up to stop it, but the 1st Corps was delayed and late getting to it. So that allowed Jackson to get much farther along in here. We may still be able to do that. Jackson will push forward in here, and I'll show you some examples of that here in a second. But getting back to what I was saying here is that I have made one slight modification to the actual AMs that you can see over here. As I said, way too many AMs, I think, that allow the Union to move. I have pulled back from the AMs. You saw in the previous videos I was using both strategic and divisional. I've pulled back on that for a couple of reasons. I'm just going to use the core AMs for the Confederates, and then I've made 2 Union AMs, which are going to be Army AMs, to move the corps. I think that better restricts the flow. I'm also tossing out the Hooker rule because there's just no chance of firing any type of cannon at him in the scenario. I just don't see it. This line of sight just blocks everything over here. There's just no chance unless they capture this and then can take a shot down that way, but it's a tough one. And as you can see, by this point we're into the 2nd day. You can see that we're not there yet. So instead of using that and the individual core AMs for the Unions, I'm just using 2 Army AMs, what I'm calling Army AMs. And then also too, I'm still using a dice roll, but instead I'm going to roll 1 dice and subtract 2 from the dice roll. So a 9 becomes a 7, an 8 becomes a 6, 5 becomes a, or a 7 becomes a 5, 6 becomes a 4, so forth and so on. Once I get down to 3, 2, and 1, those will just subtract 2 to a minimum of 1. Now, what that number represents is the number of cores on a given AM that the Union can actually move. So it's skewed a little bit towards the lower end. As I said, 3, 2, 1 are just ones, but we still have a chance of moving all the cores in here. I think that might give the Confederates a little bit more chance, although I think with the 4 turns I've played so far, the die's kind of set in terms of this. It's going to be a tough haul for them to smash through here. But it kind of was on the second day. So I'm slightly happy about that in terms of being somewhat historical in terms of that perspective. But we're going to try to limit the Union a little bit more because I just don't think the core and the dice roll and the hooker rule limit the Union enough given the volume of information that we have at our fingertips for the Union to say, oh, okay, McLaws and Anderson are the only ones here. There's nothing over here, so why don't we move the 5th Corps over here? And something like that would just be devastating because that would just be yet another backstop within here that I don't think they could punch through, even with the 7, 8 turns that we have left over here. So with that being said, let's take a look at what happened here. So if you look with the AMs, actually the Union won the initiative. So they got the first AM, moved a little bit more of Reynolds' corps up here, moved down and into the attack into the defense in front of Hill, because they only got a 1 on the dice roll. Then we had Lee Longstreet, which got Anderson and McLaws moving. Again, a little bit more demonstrations. You can see Geary and Williams are forming up a good defense over here. They're really not going to take this on. I mean, you can see that. That's pretty self-evident. You've got double stacks of Union infantry in improved positions against a single Confederate division. So they just demonstrate a little bit more, just kind of keep them honest. Then we had Jackson. Jackson's attack get rolling again. And they tried to push up this way, kind of a little bit of repositioning, recovery. Over here was the big thing with Hill's units trying to push up here again, trying to push up the hill. Now they did try to attack this cavalry that was right here. Again, they failed. That's why you see these disrupted units. Over here. It wasn't until the 2nd AM that they were able to push through and push the cavalry back, but as you can see that the 1st Corps has come up to kind of plug the hole. So I don't know if they'll be able to make any kind of turning movement down through here to get the hex, but they'll try to push. That's one area we'll see. Over here in the center for the Confederates, we had Colston's units pushing here in the center. They did capture this. They took out 2 of the Union artillery. That was Dilger's and Martin's artillery that were here. They were able to attack there and push forward on this. To kind of the center-south, a little bit more push in here. They were able to push back some of the 3rd Corps. We've got a little bit of a jut out here that they've got to attack. Setting up more defense here for the 3rd Corps, which have aligned themselves over here. Now that probably won't get a lot of attacking because there's a lot of artillery over here, but it's enough to tie down Confederate units. We do have AP Hill's other units that we had marched off the board down here, come back on here at 11, and then start to get down the road here again. So that's what happened with Jackson for his AMs. Then we had another Lee Longstreet, again, more demonstrations. And then finally we wound it out with a Jackson 2nd, which I kind of talked about already. And then we had the last Union AM over there, which was the 11th Corps. as well as the 1st Corps. 11th Corps just kind of repositioning, trying to rally. 1st Corps repositioning over here, as I described before, to set up a defense. So the Union is on the defensive here, so they just need a position to block. The Confederates have all the work to do. They've reached here. They've taken actually 3 hexes. So they actually got 2 points here, 4 points over here, but the Union has 5 points for Chancellorsville already. So the Union already has the lead, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points over there. So it's 15-4 at the moment in terms of the victory here. So got a long way to go. We've still got 2, 4, 6 turns to go. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turns to go. So we'll try to play through a few more and put it up from there. So I would probably put on the next turn, which is a 6 a.m. turn with this one, and then post that up for you as well. So thanks for watching. Catch you on the 6 a.m. turn. Okay, welcome back to turn 0600. This is the end of the turn for 0600. Just a couple of things to note. Again, I've implemented the new AM pieces here. I think it's working out well in terms of controlling what the Union can do for responding without giving the Confederates a overwhelming advantage to the whole thing. So this is the situation as of at the end of 6 a.m. We see the Confederates' attack is kind of blossoming out here with A.P. Hill to the north, Colson here to the north center, and Rhodes here to the center south, holding off over here. And then we have the 3rd Corps for the Union, remnants of the 11th, one brigade from the 12th, and then the 1st Corps up here. But you can see there's more 3rd Corps streaming in across here, as well as 1st Corps filling in the gaps over here. We do have a push by Anderson on the Confederate side. Oh, he should be over here. There we go. To kind of break through the Union lines over here. As well as just off the map, we have a demonstration by McLaws to try to push back over here. So let's take a look at a little bit of the close-up on this, kind of show you what's happened with the Confederate attack. It has kind of gotten to the grinding stage, best way I can put it, over here, particularly in the center. They're trying to push up the plank road. Remember, they really need to get to about this hex to score a victory, some sort of victory over here. So they've got to keep pushing here in the center up here while the Union pushes back over here. So they made some progress over here, capturing the guns that were holding out here. Nichols A, capture the guns here. We still have Schultz holding out with guns and a remnants of infantry unit, and we still have them holding out here as well. But you do see Colson has pushed up across this trail leading down to the pike itself and threatening Williams' Corps over here, in terms of breaking that. We've got Iverson's units over here recovered, ready to help out in the attack. And we also have A.P. Hill getting his full division together now, as Thomas and Archer have pulled up. But for Hill, the problem has been over here to the north in this area. His attacks both here against Wadsworth's units and here have proved very limiting. Here they were actually pushed back. You see one unit is still disordered. They've recovered. They've had a good chance to recover here. That unit's still disrupted there as well. But they've had very limited success. They've been held back by this cavalry unit. And now we have Wadsworth and Robinson moving up to defend this northern half over here. And there's plenty of reserves from Wadsworth and Doubleday to block him over here. So that's going to be a tough fight for him over here to the north. But they'll keep pushing. Hopefully they can break through and try to drive down this way to kind of free this line up. But we'll see how that goes as time goes on here. Going back to the center and to the south over here, we see some good pushing over here by Rhodes's units. They've actually broken through over here. You see this one unit out here, a little bit extended, has broken through over here, but these are disrupted units, and this unit is kind of pinned up here by him over here. You push back over here and over here. The concern is that they will blossom out this way rather than drive this way. Drive east, I should say. They'll blossom to the south in response to these units, Burney and Whipple here to the south, and not provide a punch in through the center. So that's going to be a careful watch over here. But they can't leave these units out on their flank too much as well. As I said before, Anderson up here to the kind of the southeast is pressing against the 12th, but the 12th has a pretty good line over here, plus these guns from the 3rd Corps have a pretty good line over here. They tried to push against him, tried to push against this line over here, Geary's line, were repulsed fairly heavily here, and that's where we stand right now. So Hooker still has quite a bit of force here to provide a defense. That's what I think is going to give them the advantage. Jackson's units in a little bit of tough situation. As I said, the attack is kind of flaring out, blossoming, as I said before, to get around here, and not as concentrated as it was here in the center. We may need to reconcentrate units over here, depending upon how it breaks through over here. The Union, again, just on the defense, they just need to defend at this point, and just keep pouring units in front of the Confederates to stop them from getting there. So that's it for the 6 a.m. turn. As I said, I really like the adjustment I did for the AMs here. It's pulled back. The Union had way too much capability here before with all their AMs, and just the dice rolls were not pinning them and not stopping them at all. This has actually pinned them down, because I think with the first AM we only had one corps that actually moved, and I think it was just the 3rd Corps over here to kind of reposition. And then the second one, I think we had 5 corps that were moving. We had the 1st, and we had I take that back. The first one was the 1st. We had the 1st, and we had the 11th, and we had the 3rd, and I think the 12th. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe it was just 4, because I do remember it was just 4, and I don't think the 2nd Corps or the 5th Corps moved at all. So, anyways, very good in terms of limiting this. I'm going to keep going with this for the rest of the game. Like I said, we're on the 6 a.m. turn, just about to go to the 7:15 turn. 2, 4. That makes it 5 turns left in the scenario, and look forward to giving you another set of videos on the 7:15 and probably the 8:30. I'll probably combine those two together, and then probably do one more after that for the balance of the turns after that. So thank you for watching, and hopefully see you on the next one. Thanks.